Okay, everybody, welcome to another Lightning Strikes Twice, the super fast, condensed version of our lightning rounds where we only do two topics, one apiece, and we got 5 minutes to discuss. So I think it's your turn this time, Casey. So take it away.
All right. Well, let's see. How about philosophical-esque question, maybe with a hint of tomfoolery? Um, are Star Trek style transporters only not a thing because we have the TSA?
Actually, that's a yeah. Would the TSA be involved in it with
Right? How
transporters?
how would they do that?
That's a good question. Well, yeah, I mean, apparently they can detect a weapon in transit and that it's in a state of discharge. So it might be easier in that regard. But I would
Yeah,
imagine,
guess
yeah,
there's no need for the TSA anymore. The
yeah,
technology does it for us,
yeah, exactly. It just automatically deactivates whatever, or confiscates whatever. And of course, while you're in transport, like in between, as we saw in like an episode, the one where Barkley thought he had some kind of illness, transporter
Mhm.
psychosis or whatever. Like you can experience the feeling of being transported. So if the TSA were involved while you're being taken apart and recombined, they can feel you up. Just an automatic, groping while you're being transported.
It's an interesting, if not goofy, question, but it does kind of bring up the idea like, well, transporters sort of do the job of the TSA, like you mentioned. They
Hmm.
deactivate the weapon or whatever. But I mean, isn't the technology of the scanners that you put your luggage through supposed to do the same? Like
Well,
detect the threat?
not. I mean, it really just
I mean, not
shows.
neutralize it, but
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it just basically, it's like essentially a form of X-ray. And well, in some cases, it probably is X-ray. So it's up to somebody to look and visually interpret what they're seeing. So it doesn't really automatically detect something like it does in Star Trek.
yeah. And I mean, I wonder if we ever will have something like that, even if it's not like, the same molecule for molecule Star Trek transporting,
Hmm.
if there were some kind of, I don't know, way to, I mean, like the whole concept of like bending space time or whatever between 2 points for traveling great distances in space could also be, you know, um, let's say converted to shorter distances here on Earth, right?
Yeah, well, I don't think we'll in any time frame soon see something exactly like Star Trek where that you go
Mhm.
to the transporter, you stand on it, and it takes you and transports you to wherever. I think we might see like a site to site transport at some point soon,
Mhm.
where there's you have your transporter here and your transporter where you want to go, and you get on this one here, and then it takes you to there, basically. And
Yeah.
it might use some kind of wormhole sort of thing instead of deconstructing your body, in an atomic level.
Right.
It might like be sort of a wormhole esque kind of thing where this one generates the one end of a wormhole and the other one generates the other end, and whoop, you slip through it, which that makes more sense, like it kind of, the way they do things in Star Trek seems a little implausible. Like how would that really, like, what is it, some kind of beam? And obviously they need a transporter to deconstruct you, but somehow reconstructing you like thousands of kilometers away is
Right.
like, oh, it can just beam you over there and like rebuild you
And
very
and there
precisely.
was there was like a distance that it just wouldn't work beyond, but it wasn't like if you went up to that threshold, you like might not be put together correctly or anything like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
It
exactly.
just like works, it works, it works. Oh, we can't. We're out of transporter range.
Yeah, well, and maybe that's why there's a range, because at a certain distance it becomes less precise, and it's more
Mhm.
likely the further out you go that you'd have some kind of problem where like maybe you'd be like misshapen or something wouldn't connect correctly or something. No,
Like, oh, was that time?
no, no. We
Oh,
still
oh,
got
I thought I
we
heard.
got no, no. That's my phone. That's people
Oh,
messaging. Yeah.
yeah. I was about to say we should have some kind of like X-Men Star Trek crossover where there's a bunch of mutants that got messed up by the transporter.
Yeah, they really didn't have very many problems like that. They didn't. I mean, that would have been a pretty good story arc, I suppose.
hmm I think there was a actually a comic book crossover between Star Trek and X-Men. Wasn't
Huh?
there?
Oh, that's time.
Ah,
Maybe, but I mean, if not, there should be. That would be cool.
if not, why
Why
not?
not? Yeah, Star Trek and Batman or something like that.
Yeah.
Hmm. Um,
Well, on to
okay.
you.
All right. Well, I mean, I kind of have this is sort of a I don't know, broad sort of thing. Billions and billions, right? Like we have seen I mean, there was speculation like when you and I were kids that there would be planets around stars. And now, of course, with our some of our telescopes and stuff and technology, we've seen that there are planets around pretty much every star.
Mhm.
And even in nearby, there are Earth-like planets. Okay, um, and now with some of the you know James Webb telescope stuff, the pictures, it's like there are billions of galaxies now. So that's just kind of like the question that I have is like, okay, there has to definitely be human like life out there now, right?
Well, I I don't see why not. Like somewhere out there,
Yeah, yeah,
like there's absolutely no reason to assume it would be anywhere near us. Um, but like the conditions for life to form, um, like probabilistically speaking, is quite low. But um, I mean, at past a certain threshold, I think it's quite low because um, amino acids and stuff like that. Like I think that's basic enough that it occurs pretty, commonplace. But then, when you introduce that Goldilocks zone where it's
mm-hmm.
kind of the prime uh growing environment or
Yeah.
whatever.
When the conditions are
hmm Like
favorable.
I think that kind of like exponentially increases the probability. So, the fact that we've just with our limited infantile technology, we've already observed a handful of Earth-like planets just nearby.
Yeah, yeah,
Air quotes nearby.
yeah,
Uh,
dozens of light years, basically.
yeah, I mean, there's got to be something out there.
Well, yeah, because like even if you think about it, it's like if I encourage everybody to look at the there's a image that shows how far our radio signals have gotten since we have begun transmitting radio signals at all. So
Mhm.
the last couple centuries, basically, it's just in our galaxy. It's like this little tiny circle that represents how far that signal has gotten. And that's the thing. It's like space is big,
Oh yeah.
and just in our galaxy, though, I mean, we've observed enough Earth-like planets that if you can extrapolate that to like the galaxy, there's probably millions of Earth-like planets in the galaxy, and
You
then
know,
consider all the other galaxies too. There's
yeah.
like billions of other galaxies somewhere. I mean, the odds are pretty high that there. I mean, obviously, like you said, it's not like um, it probably isn't commonplace, but there's definitely Earths out there with human esque or intelligent beings. There has to be a lot of them. Is my point.
Right. I mean, what you're saying about radio signals makes me think like even if we ever detected some kind of evidence of that, by the time we collect that evidence, it's probably like billions of years old and they've been long extinct.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah. Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
for sure. Well, in fact, a lot of the light that we're seeing from stars is from
they're,
stars that have extinguished
they're
long
already
ago.
dead. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that is really, unless we can develop some kind of time travel or wormhole or warp drive technology, there's no way that we could ever communicate with them. It would be like archaeology at that point. Like we'd be
Exactly. Yeah.
visiting some dead world and looking at the remnants of a culture or society.
Which I might add would still be super cool.
Yes,
Um,
it would be. Yeah,
like even if we don't get to meet aliens, to like find out that they did exist and they had like this whole civilization and like trying to figure out what happened, what went wrong, or did they just bugger off and
yeah.
they're still out there somewhere? Like
I mean, that would be interesting enough. I mean, it's already interesting on Earth.
that would be actually kind of a cool sci-fi sort of thing, like sort of like Star Trek, but you never actually come across like living alien species, just like remnants of,
Yeah.
like
Ooh,
sort of like
yeah.
that one episode of TNG where they're all in this race for like archaeological evidence of shared DNA and
Yeah.
like cool
Yeah,
shit like
exactly. Where like maybe the only communication you would have with them is some kind of like record they left behind, like a machine or something, like a recording,
that. Hmm.
basically,
Yeah.
or something like that, and you wouldn't ever actually face to face see them. That's
Yeah.
that's much more likely than. Oh well, that's time.
Man. Oh man.
that's
That's cool.
yeah, that's a man. That's there's a lot in there.
Hmm.
All right, well, hope you
If
guys,
you want to
everybody.
see a full episode of one of those, leave it in the
Yep,
comments.
definitely. And I guess that concludes our lightning strikes twice. So take it easy, everybody. See you later.